All right, I just wanted to wish all you guys a Merry Christmas. I appreciate all the amazing support you guys have had, and I hope you guys have really enjoyed these episodes. And obviously, it's been a little extra work for us, but it's something that we really enjoyed doing. So we hope you guys are enjoying it too. Don't forget to just count your blessings today. Obviously, everything that we're allowed and able to have on a day-to-day basis is probably something we don't take enough time to appreciate. So spend some time with your family today. Enjoy the holiday. It's obviously an amazing day, an amazing time to really just reflect as you guys start to think about 2018 and everyone has all their New Year's resolutions. On a serious note, be the best you've ever been. Make it the best year. Remember, hoping ain't ever going to get anything for you. Make it happen. You got to get it done. So like I said, hopefully we can continue to keep these things coming, and we're excited for another great year and great speakers and great episodes. And like I said, make it a great one. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. Once again, Merry Christmas. Spend time with your family. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the episode. All right. So with the holidays right around the corner and all these New Year, New Me resolutions coming, hopefully strength coaches evaluating nutrition, not just for themselves, but their athletes as well. I just want to cover and just get more, well, at least start more general with nutrition. Talk a little bit about what we do here, which you guys are obviously familiar with, exactly why we do it, and then just kind of go through some general things, and maybe if the conversation takes us to specific stuff, we'll get there. So first thing I want to do, just to kind of prove a point, but also to open up our minds, all right? Let's just go through some diets, or let's say eating styles, okay? Just start throwing some at me.
Keto.
Okay, we got keto. All right, started off with the Mark Bell keto. All right, what's next?
Vegan.
Vegan. I'm gonna not say anything about that one, okay? Next.
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting. How do you spell intermittent?
I-N-T.
We're gonna put IF so I don't look stupid on YouTube.
Okay.
Intermittent fasting.
If it fits your macros.
What's that, buddy?
If it fits your macros.
I-I-F-Y-M. Ketosis.
What's that?
Ketosis.
Keto. Come on, bro, wake up.
Metabolic diet.
Oh! Metabolic diet. Metabolic diet. All right, whoop, whoop, whoop. Metabolic diet, okay? Come on, what else we got?
High carb diets.
High carb. All right. What else we got?
High fat.
High fat diet. So that's kind of keto, kind of
keto,
primal, kind of paleo. We'll just kind of throw that all into that one. Okay. What else?
The Coach Green diet.
All right. So that's a seafood diet. All right. What else?
Vegetarian.
Yeah, there's 5 different levels of vegetarian. There's 5, right? Five levels of vegetarianism. I don't know what there's. They don't eat any red meat. Some of them eat eggs. Some don't eat dairy.
Pescatarian.
Pescatarian. They don't eat fish.
They
Eat fish. Yeah. There's 5 levels of vegetarianism. What else we got? Other diets we got. Let's say we got carb cycling, right? We got carb refeed. What else we got? Good. That's a pretty good list, right? All right. What does every single one of those diets have in common?
break something out. Homework deficits.
They all work.
Lack of vitamin in the middle.
I'll take that answer the best, and I'll manipulate it the way that I want it to have been said. So, every single diet up here, science, right? Research-based science, legitimate research shows us that all of these work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also show us that they don't work, right? Has anybody in here read a study that showed that keto works, right? Has anybody read one that it doesn't work? Yes? Me too. Vegan? Intermittent fasting? Metabolic diet? so on and so forth. So where in the hell does that leave us as coaches and people that are trying to find what's best, right? Because you listen to one thing that says high-fat diets right now, that's probably the biggest buzz right now, right? Probably, I would say, probably the two biggest buzzes are like either this gluten-free vegan person or this like paleo, primal, ketogenic person, right? Those are like probably like the two ends of the spectrum right now. And you can sit there and you can find all these research articles on the fact that this one works, but then you can find another one that says that it doesn't work and it causes this, this, and this. But then you can read another one that says that freaking ketogenic diets are curing cancer and diabetes and kidney failure, right? And then you find the vegan research that talks about the fact that all animals in the animal kingdom that are vegetarians are all fat. Okay, but then you think about the fact that gorillas eat freaking vegetables and vegetables only. They're not too fat. Okay, so there's like pieces of every one of these that works and or doesn't work. Okay, so how do we go about deciphering that information? How do we go about deciding what we believe in, what we don't believe in, what works, what doesn't work? I don't necessarily have the right answer. You know, I have my opinions, which are probably no better than anybody else's, and what I think. I'll tell you one thing, you know, I know this. I know no matter what, it comes down to results, okay? I know no matter what diet you're on, show me science, show me whatever you want to show me, but if it works, it works. I know that's fail-proof, okay? And then let's talk about what results actually are. Harris, tell me some of the results that we're looking for from diets.
Improved body count.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put an arrow for improved body count, okay? What's another result we want to look for?
I mean, there's obviously like vitals, you know, I don't know what you classify that under.
Right, so, okay, so blood work, right?
Yeah.
Neurotransmitters, hormonal, right? There's a lot bigger piece than just, you can look at a dude with a six-pack and don't make him healthy, okay? And that's one thing we have to understand when it comes to nutrition and diet and dieting, right? Just because you got a dude that's got every muscle in the body that you can see and he's got veins coming out of his ears, it doesn't mean that he's healthy, okay? So as we're attacking nutrition, if I go on a keto diet and I drop 30 pounds and I'm ripped up and I have an 8-pack, but my vitals, my blood work, my blood pressure, my cholesterol, which cholesterol is another hot topic of whether it even means anything or not, which we won't get into right now. My neurotransmitters are all over the place. Hormonally, I'm a train wreck. Am I healthy? If I'm not sleeping at night, am I healthy? If I'm sitting there craving food all day, am I healthy? I'm not. So when I talk about results, okay, what I'm looking for is in my athletes, in myself, in people that I know that I'm trying to help with nutrition, okay, results means health, okay? It's not just appearances. And that's a big thing to remember as you guys are giving people nutrition advice or as you guys are evaluating. Remember what we talk about. We know when we talk about strength and conditioning, we talk about we want to be result-based strength coaches, right? At the end of the day, when we decide when we evaluate what worked and what didn't work, we want to be result-based. There may or may not be science for something that we do, but we're looking for direct results, right? So that's improved vertical jump, broad jump, whatever. We're looking for results, correlation to the field, increased power output. Okay, with my nutrition, when I'm thinking about nutrition, health is my result, and that's much more than just body composition, right? That, like I said, that's everything that we just went into. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Okay. So let me, I guess, go through just my opinion on things and what I've kind of found, okay? With experimenting on myself and experimenting with people, okay? Number one is genetics, okay? And I used to think this was a cop-out answer. And I would say this is when I really first started studying the shit out of nutrition. Is I thought just saying like, oh, genetic, that's just an excuse for people who don't know what they're talking about with nutrition. Okay, book I'm reading right now, Good Calories, Bad Calories, which is a great book because it's more or less just a compilation of a ton of different research studies. Okay, and what you start to find is is first off how political our recommendations are of what the government wants us to intake, what they say we should intake, how many studies there are that are ignored if they don't say what you want them to say. So you have to learn how to read between the gray lines. But the reason why I really like Good Calories, Bad Calories versus other books, and I'll give a bunch of books that I for nutrition that I think is kind of on my nutrition to read list. Most nutrition books are very biased. So if you buy a keto book, it's obviously going to tell you that ketogenic diet is the best thing out there. If you buy a vegan book, it's going to tell you the vegan diet is the best thing out there. Low carb is going to tell you, so on and so forth. But Good Calories, Bad Calories, it tells you the end. It gives you literal research for both topics, both ends of the spectrum. So if they're talking about being a vegetarian, they'll give you a study that said that here's one that shows that having a vegetarian diet improved vitals, so on and so forth. But then it'll tell you that here's one that didn't work out so well, and it'll kind of let you formulate your own opinions, which I think is important. Where the hell was I going with that? What were we talking about right before then?
The bias and
Yeah, the bias of
genetics.
Genetics. Okay, so genetics. So one of the freaking craziest studies in there is they talk about they more or less they take 40 people and they put them all on the exact same calorie diet. So let's just say, just to make this easy for everyone to understand, they take 40 people, they're all intaking 4,000 of the exact same calories a day. So they eat the exact same thing, equals 4,000 calories. They're sedentary, they don't do a damn thing, they just sit around, okay? All 40 of the participants in the study gained or maintained or whatever, but they were all different weights. So someone might have gained 13 pounds, someone might have gained 15 pounds, someone might have gained 9 pounds, someone lost weight, someone maintained body weight over the 4-week period. So what does that tell you? Like, a calorie ain't a calorie for me and folks. We have different metabolisms, and you digest at a certain rate. And honestly, what it means to me, what I took away from it is fat people or people that really have trouble getting rid of weight or hang on to excess fat, they're the ones that would have survived like back in the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, you think about more lean people that are naturally leaner, that have to eat a ton to keep their body weight. Those people wouldn't have survived 5,000 years ago. You know what I mean? The people that would have survived are the people that, you think about what is it, so the people that gain weight off a 4,000 calorie diet, what does that mean? Well, it means that their body is more efficient with calories. So they don't need as many calories to survive. Their body is, my body might need 600 calories to survive, their body can survive with 200 calories. So you think about what that means, well, really back in the primal days, when we had friggin' T-Rexes running around cavemen, those dudes are gonna survive a lot more efficiently than we are. Now, you stack that up into an Americanized or Westernized diet, right, where you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day, you're gonna eat all these processed meat and all this bullshit, well then they're not gonna be survival of the fittest, then you're more people that are actually less efficient at digesting calories are gonna be the ones that are on top, which is kind of where we are now. So, I think understand that. I can't say how many times coaches have, or even I've told an athlete, like, listen, it's math. It's not science, it's math, okay? If you expend 3,000 calories a day, but you intake 4,000, you're gonna gain weight, okay? It's not that difficult. I'm wrong. Like, we're wrong for saying that. A calorie isn't a calorie, everybody. But how many people have said that to an athlete before? How many people have thought that and been like, dude, it's not that hard. All you have to do is eat. It's a mathematical equation. I can't really tell you how many people I've told, as long as you, or when they're trying to lose weight, right? Just don't be a fat ass, right? All you have to do is eat 1,500 calories a day, and you burn 3,000. Well, how many calories are in a pound of fat? Okay, so over a week, you're going to be guaranteed to lose 2 pounds of fat. It's math. It's not math. It's genetics. Okay. So I think the sooner that we can understand that and understand the complexity of nutrition and that it's not that easy, the faster you can start to understand why there's research that shows pluses for everything and minuses for everything. It's just what the hell these people want to find and what they're looking for. They're going to find a way to find it in those studies. So like I said, your end-all be-all for everything that we've ever talked about, it should always be results. You know what I mean? Like, if someone says that eating a bag of Skittles for you is bad, but you eat a bag of Skittles every day and it lowers your blood pressure and you're having kidney failure and it somehow revitalizes your kidneys, are you going to keep eating Skittles? You're going to keep eating Skittles, okay? So at the end of the day, like it's result based. Now I've found generalizations of things that I strongly believe in, but as far as, you know, like I go through cycles every year just to keep myself sane, where I bulk, and I'll bulk using a certain kind of diet, and then I'll try different things with cutting. You know, last year I cut with the ketogenic diet. Okay, I cut out carbs, I cut with the keto diet, and I loved it. It worked out excellent for me. But I've put people on keto diets that they freaking shit everywhere, and they can't. They'll be in the middle of the office and their stomachs will drop, and they don't lose weight. And even though it worked for me, should I keep recommending that same person and say, "Oh, Scott, I don't know, you're doing something wrong"? No, the diet doesn't work for that person. Okay, so try something else. I've done just a regular carbohydrate, well-balanced diet where I've had every plate has had some form of a grain or like potato on it, vegetable, and a piece of meat. Like I've done that before too, where I've just kind of cut calories, and it worked, and I got freaking super cut. And it just like I've done different kind of exercise, right? It's just like we talk about in the weight room. Like there's different philosophies that work in the weight room, and you have to keep that in mind. I'd say the main things that I've come to believe, and like I said, I mean, I don't like to speak in absolutes, but you know, these are things that I believe in. Okay, so one, refined sugars. Okay, I really believe that these are the main toxins of our society. Okay, and there's a lot of them, but I believe that those are the main toxins. Okay, if you do research and look into just like tribes and different communities and look at their disease rates and look at when cancer entered into their communities, things like diabetes, things like heart failure. Okay, those things for the most part were never in communities, tribes, or countries until they were exposed to a Western style diet. Okay, so until they were exposed with very simple carbohydrates, potatoes, simple sugars, and then it's crazy that if you look at these things, when you look at these communities, you look at these, like I said, these tribes, as soon as what we would call an Americanized Western diet is introduced into their culture, so is cancer, so is heart failure, so is diabetes, and you see that show up in a lot of different cultures. Okay, so to me, refined sugars, and the science is there to back it, right? So we talk about, let's get into this train, okay? We talk about insulin, okay? Is insulin good or bad? Is there an E on the side back? God bless it, I can't spell this shit. Okay, insulin. Shut up, Green. Is insulin a good or bad thing?
It's a good thing. It is. It's good.
Both, right? It's good and bad. Okay, we try to demonize insulin, and especially, you know, sometimes, you know, people probably think that I try to demonize insulin. I don't. It's obviously incredibly important to us, but it has two different paths, and we don't like to talk about both of them together. Okay, so what is a negative piece of insulin in our world? Now, this is what used to save people's lives back in the caveman days, but what's the negative piece of insulin? What does it do? What's it immobilize?
Fat.
It immobilizes fat. It immobilizes fat. Okay. So it tells my body when insulin increases, when insulin rates rise, it tells my body store fat and don't let me burn any. Okay. So on the other end of it, what does it do? What's the good piece of insulin?
Increase protein synthesis.
It is anabolic as shit, okay? There are a handful of new studies that are showing, is there two N's in anabolic?
No.
Damn it!
Anabolic.
I've had too much coffee today. Okay, so insulin is extremely anabolic. I remember a year and a half ago, I'm freaking reading this case study, and there's like 7 references to saying that insulin is the new testosterone. Like, that's how anabolic insulin is, okay? How many of you guys have heard of the post-workout insulin spike? right? As soon as workout's done, we want to spike blood sugar so we can have this rush of insulin because it's so anabolic in nature, right? The mTOR pathway, right? It's going to do what's protein synthesis? Increase protein synthesis. So as far as for increasing muscle anabolically, insulin's great. But at the same time, right? If I'm sitting on my ass spiking my blood sugar, is that a good thing? Okay, so talk about refined sugars, kind of back up one step. Okay, what causes insulin to be secreted? What causes insulin to be secreted?
Rise in blood glucose.
Okay, so blood glucose raises, so blood sugar goes up. So I eat a banana, right? Anybody heard of the glycemic index? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so blood glucose goes up, all right? My body needs to even keel, it needs to even out my blood sugar. So what's it do? What's it release? Okay, insulin. So insulin goes up. All right, when insulin raises, like I said, that is your hormone. That is your hormone that's going to tell my body to store and become anabolic. All right. Does that make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for you guys, glycemic index. All right. What scale is the glycemic index on?
1 to 10. No.
I mean, technically 1, but 1 to what?
No idea.
You serious?
I don't know.
Okay, glycemic index is 1 to 100. All right. And it's not 1 to 1. Is it 1 to 50? Hang on. Now you guys are gonna be freaking confused. Let me Google it real quick.
You can pause this and take this one out.
You don't have to.
What's wrong?
I think it is to 100. I'm pretty sure it's 100.
It is, because we were talking about that in the spring.
That was my
What's on
gut.
the-
I had no idea.
Glycemic index. Sure. All right. Good. Yeah, it's 100. This is. Okay, anyway, so the glycemic index, 1 to 100, and 100 is more or less telling you that that's going to spike your blood sugar the most. That's more or less, I think 100 is actually glucose, if I remember correctly. Okay, so that means if I intake that, that's going to have the fastest reaction to your blood glucose getting spiked up. It's going to have an insulin response. Okay, but moral of the story, what I've found is the steadier that we can keep our blood sugar, the more even keel we can keep it, we can kind of flirt with both areas of being metabolic in nature and also metabolizing fat in nature by saying even keel, okay? So that's what this stuff does. So when we talk about UCAN and why we give it to our athletes, that's why we give it to our athletes, because it's not gonna have an effect on blood sugar, okay? So you see like Rock and Refuel. What's Rock and Refuel gonna do to this blood sugar?
Spike.
It's gonna spike it, okay? So then we're gonna have what kind of response? We're gonna have an insulin response, okay? Which is great for post-workout for our guys because we want the anabolic response. But, so like we'll put our bad body count guys on this, pre-workout and post-workout. So pre-workout, so they stay steady so they can burn more fat throughout the workout. Post-workout, so that they continue to get the benefits of that workout throughout the day. So we're not spiking them constantly, trying to improve body count. That's what the superstarch does in UCAN, okay? So anyways, what I found that I believe that works best is throughout the day, keep your blood sugar steady. You don't need to be drinking Powerade. All it's going to do is spike your sugar, tell your body to store fat. And then I believe in insulin spikes post-workout. Like I said, if we have guys with really bad body comp, I don't want to spike their insulin because I want to try to clean out the best possible. But guys with good body comp that you're happy with where they are, spike their freaking blood sugar after, give them a banana, give them a chocolate milk, give them something with carbohydrates, the Rock and Refuel that we give guys. And let them get the anabolic effects from insulin. Okay, so that's a big thing that I have found that I believe works. Okay, I guess this would be what to eat, what to avoid. Okay, processed foods. Why are they so bad? Okay, so processed foods, processed meats. What's the big deal? Why not just? Why can't I just eat regular beef from Giant Eagle, whatever grocery store I said? Okay, processed meats. First off, processed anything. It's loaded. It's loaded with toxins. Okay, so free radicals. We all know what free radicals, right? So free radicals. Everyone's heard of them. They probably don't necessarily know what they are, but more or less, that's where the word oxidatives comes from. So free radicals are going to cause a ton of inflammation in the body, in the joints. Free radicals from especially carbohydrates directly, they're going to interact with your chondrocytes in your joints, swelling of the joints, irritation of the joints, swelling of the intestines, swelling of digestive tract. So processed meats are going to have more of those fats, more of those free radicals that are going to cause inflammation in the body, and that's where they're seeing the biggest issues with what we're doing. Okay, now what's the difference between just a regular pack of beef you get at Giant Eagle, and why does anyone know why grass-fed is so? They talk about grass-fed cows, grass-fed steak. Why that's so important? What they're starting to find out with that?
Same with how the cow digests it and what goes on with like the fat profile, the DHAs.
Yeah, so it's all the fat profile. Okay, so more or less the fat profile in a grain raised cow, so a cow that's eaten grain his whole life, the fat profile is a difference. There's not a ton of difference in the actual meat. It's the fat in the meat that is the biggest issue, and that's where it completely changes, alters the fat profile. So instead of having very healthy DHAs and things in the saturated fats that are beneficial to alertness and the way our brain operates, it's going to kind of have the opposite effect. And that's where you're going to get a lot of the issues from the grain in the fat source of the cow. So that's a big issue that we talk about. Okay, we talk about vegetables. This is a study I read in college, but it was talking about the nutrient value of a bowl of spinach, and it was talking about in order to get the same nutrient value out of a bowl of spinach that you would have eaten in 1950, you'd have to eat 50 bowls of spinach now today. We don't rotate our crops. All the pesticides that we put on freaking everything, all the preservatives that we put on everything, it makes a big difference on how we can take it, on how we digest it, and it's not good. So trying to find quality food, I don't know where you can win with it, honestly. I think no matter what you do, you're gonna be falling a little short of what you do. But anyways, so in general, avoid processed foods, meats, things like that. Cooking, okay? Nobody knows this for some reason. Like everyone thinks like coconut oil is great, extra virgin olive oil is great. It is, but you have to know your cooking temperatures. Okay, so what makes fried food so bad? It's still chicken. Why is fried chicken so bad? Especially we're starting to find out the fats aren't what's killing us. Why are fried foods so bad for us?
And it doesn't deal with the temperature of how high you cook the grease and it distracts everything and all the nutrients within the oil or something.
It's the heat. So the heat at which we cook the fat, that we cook we dip the chicken in fat, that's what fries it. It's not the fat itself, it's the temperature we cook it in. It changes the hydrogen bonds inside of it and it makes it rancid. Okay, so it makes the fats in the grease in the fat that you're cooking in, it makes it become rancid, that's what causes the inflammation in your body, and that's what the coin term trans fats are. They're man altered fats. So the fats aren't the way they're meant to be. The heat that we put them under alters the way the fats are and the way our body digests them. That's why trans fats are so bad for us. That's why fried foods are so bad for us. It's not the fat itself or the fry, it's the temperature which we cook it, okay? But nothing changes with anything else. So You know, if you look at it, it's time and heat. So like you look at your your flaxseed oils. Yeah, they're healthy for you, but if you leave them on a shelf for 6 months and you leave the cap open, those can become rancid too. If those become rancid, they cause inflammation in the body. Olive oil. If you go look at each different kind of cooking oil, they have different cooking temperatures. So if you want to cook something at 450, go figure out what oil can cook at 450 before it becomes rancid. Okay, so yes, olive oil is good for you. Coconut oil is a good source of healthy fats for you. But when we start cooking with them, which is what we're all talking about, if you blow it up to freaking high heat, you're going to change the hydrogen bonds in the fat, and then you're going to cause the fats to become rancid. Now we're no longer working with what we want to work with. So know the temperature which you cook the fats in. Okay, that's a big thing. All right, one of the biggest things that I've had success with, that I really believe in everything, okay, is BCAAs. All right, we can have caloric deficiencies. We don't want to have a nitrogen deficiency, okay? BCAAs prevent nitrogen deficiencies. What am I talking about with nitrogen deficiencies? Why do we want to avoid those? What's the difference between a carbohydrate and a protein molecule?
Nitrogen backbone.
Nitrogen backbone, all right? So if you look at a protein, it's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. If you look at a carbohydrate, what is it? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. So the only missing piece difference between a protein and a carbohydrate is a nitrogen, okay? So who's heard of gluconeogenesis? Okay, who's heard of deamination? All right, that's when we take a carbohydrate, or we take a protein, we cut the nitrogen off of it, and now we have a carbohydrate, right, instead of a protein. So they get rid of the nitrogen, now all of a sudden we have a carbohydrate. So if we're in a nitrogen deficiency, okay, so if calories are down, our body's going to start, if we're not eating enough, we're trying to cut, we're trying to lose weight, calories are down, the first thing your body's going to do is it's going to try to take what's most readily available, right? So for leaner athletes especially, that's going to be muscle, right? If it's a bigger, fatter guy, they're going to naturally pick apart more fat. If it's a leaner athlete, they're going to typically pick apart more muscle. We're trying to preserve as much muscle as humanly possible, right? No matter what we're doing, if we're bulking, we're trying to build as much muscle as we can, or if we're cutting, we're trying to preserve as much muscle as we can. We know we can't just burn fat. We know we can't just build muscle. We know those things. But our job is to try to balance those gates as much as humanly possible. So BCAAs, what do? Why do we take them? That is your why. It's so that we don't get in that nitrogen deficiency to where our body is having to break apart those precious muscles that we work so hard for, pull those nitrogen ions off, and turn them into carbohydrates so we can utilize them as energy, okay? That is a big thing that I believe in, and it's worked both ways. So bulking, it's awesome to help. I mean, for me, I've always had a hard time maintaining weight. As soon as I started putting BCAAs in my life, I didn't have trouble maintaining weight. In the summertime, you know, I'm usually lose 15 to 20 pounds every summer just from the way we coach, how much we're on our feet. This is the first summer that I didn't drop any weight at all. I just maintained my weight. I didn't increase my calories. I didn't eat as much as I have in the past summers. I drank BCAAs 2 to 3 times a day, and just made sure my nitrogen levels were where they needed to be. Made sure that I wasn't just stripping those freaking nitrogen ions off mine, and turning them into carbohydrates. So I've seen that's been a big piece of things. I guess what questions do we have in general of just nutrition? And I know it's a big thing that I mean, trust me, I don't know everything about nutrition. I've done my best to study on it and get a general idea of what works, what doesn't work, what ideas are out there. But what questions do you guys have about?
Well, staying on the topic of BCAAs, was that the same for bigger guys as well?
From what aspect? I mean, yeah, like I said, when they're cutting weight, they're trying to clean up. Absolutely, I want those guys on it because I don't. Said the constant battle you're having, whether you're bulking, cutting, or maintaining, is you want to improve body composition. If I want to improve body composition, I need to always be trying to build more lean mass and get rid of fat mass.
So calling for an example, like Brian Ranke, who we've had him on weight gain since he's been here. He went from, how big was he when he first got here, to 250 pounds.
Yeah.
We suggest that he, go out and take that supplement.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing our weight gain shakes along with our hypertrophy workouts after. That's going to help him out just as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it works. It's both ways. Weight gain, weight loss. I think BCAAs, from what I've found, BCAAs and creatine, I would say those are the two most beneficial supplements that I've seen across the board. If I can only take two supplements, and that includes like protein powder and shit like that, yeah, I'm going creatine, I'm going BCAAs. That's what I'm taking. That's what I'm taking with me. Which universally is going to help, I think, both ways, up and down. That's why I believe in BCAAs so much, because I've seen them work with guys who are trying to cut and improve body comp, and guys who are trying to bulk and improve body comp. What else?
What do you tell like your athletes when they come in? Obviously, when you think of health, it's well-being, and football is not really healthy. They're out there putting their bodies through,
right,
hell and back. What do you tell athletes? So when you think of health, like what's your definition of health for the athletes?
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate in some cases, because you know some of the things you have to do to get guys to certain weights, to be able to maintain certain weights. It's definitely not what you would recommend for life. And my biggest thing is that you educate them. You educate them on understanding, like, hey, this is what we're doing now. This is how this is affecting your body. This is why it's going to make you gain weight. But like making, when they leave here, they have an idea on how to actually treat their bodies. And that's what we try to do here so much. Is why we have so much nutritional information posted up all the time. It's why we explain to them exactly what the supplements are doing to their bodies, how it's changing them. We explain to them how their body responds to a certain kind of food versus other kind of food, so that they know exactly what's going on. So would I recommend, do I think that our weight gain shakes that we give to everybody is something that everybody in the country would make them healthier? No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think that's something that I would recommend to people. But unfortunately, it's a sport we play, and to keep them safe and healthy on the field, it's something that we have to do. But my biggest goal is that when a guy leaves here, he has goals and habits and knowledge of how to live a healthy lifestyle. I think that's the important thing, and that's probably where a lot of programs misses. It's just about the business of either getting them bigger, stronger, and faster, or leaner and meaner, bigger and fatter sometimes. And we focus too much on the result and not enough on education, educating our athletes into what's really the piece of the puzzle, the piece of what we do. What else? Question on anything? Diets, anything like that? Anywhere we want to take this? Very broad topic.
Well, like with the liquid, you kind of get so much more caloric density with a shake than with food, because like if you took when we sit with those guys at lunch and like tell them, hey, eat this, and it's just so much food that like not one person should be able to eat it, and like you're just pushing yourself to the edge of like about to throw up, and it's not fun. So like if you can tell a guy to like drink a shake, like, hey, this it's just so much easier. So that's another thing too.
That's how I personally did in college. That's the drinking the shake stuff. It just, sitting there and trying to eat 4 chicken breasts is just not fun at all. I mean, it's freaking miserable. But sitting there trying to drink a freaking peanut butter shake is pretty delightful, except for your roommate doesn't like you too much. But it's definitely the better option. There's no doubt. What else?
You know how with some of our weight gain guys, they'll complain about, they'll take their shake and go, oh, I'm not hungry. Given we kind of know we have to baby them in a sense, do you think the most effective way would be if we were to actually make them eat and then actually follow it up with the shake? But we unfortunately really can't do that, just because some of the guys, we just can't trust them.
Right.
Would you think that that would be like the optimal
Always.
choice? Yeah.
I'm always gonna say, you know, food over supplements. There's no question about it. And that's something that I think about all the time. Is like, man, these kids are getting 5,000 calories, you know, in the 6 hours they're here in the morning between film, lifting, and practice, and then they go about their day. And yeah, there's a strong chance that they're probably not too hungry. But the problem is they're not eating outside of, you know, like if it was up to me, we would have our own training table, which unfortunately we don't. And we would just go to training table with them. We'd monitor their meals at training table that way, instead of having to say, hey, Green, I don't care, we need to get 3,000 calories in that shake, so I know they've ingested this amount of caloric, if they've had this amount of caloric intake throughout the day, so at least we know we're covering our line. But I mean, how many guys do you talk to and say, hey, what'd you have for dinner last night? I forgot to eat. What? You forgot to eat dinner? And that's honestly the answer is if these kids just ate of legitimate breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we wouldn't need to be throwing all these calories down. Like I said, some guys they're hard gainers. I used to think that was bullshit. I really did. But it's true. Some guys are hard for gainers. What did JD Jamal Davis was sitting there telling us? His normal day.
Oh man.
Is like a box of pizza, 6 tacos from Taco Bell, Chipotle, 2 Chipotle burritos, and this dude is 3% body fat, 240 pounds. If I ate like that, I would be 290 pounds at 40% body fat. And that's just like, that's the truth. And so you can't, like I said, a calorie is not a calorie. From an individual basis to just a food to food. Like I can remember sitting in a nutrition class in college, and the professor telling me, okay, a calorie is a calorie. Calories in, calories out, right? Everybody's heard that, right? It just ain't the case, dude. It's not, as you can imagine, it's not that simple, right? Like with everything that we've talked about in this industry, it ain't that easy. It ain't that simple. There's no right or necessarily wrong answer. It's always gonna kind of usually lie somewhere right in the middle. But yeah, I mean, food is the ultimate go-to. That's what you wanna be. That's where you wanna go with it. What else?
On a high-fat diet, fats, it's expensive, especially to get the good stuff. Are there supplements you recommend people taking in order to increase their fat intake?
Yeah, I mean, exogenous ketones. Now, I mean, there's not, to me, there's not enough solidified research out there on like the fact that I mean, if any book you read on like ketogenic diets, high fat diets, it'll tell you it'll take you anywhere from 12 days to a month to get into true ketosis, which is why I personally don't do the diet. I did more of a low carb diet, I would say, which with a refeed. I said I was ketogenic in nature, but I never really got to ketosis because I would do pretty much what I would call glycolytic refeeds, which we can talk about here in a minute. But so more or less, anything you read on ketosis, it takes about 12 days to a month just to get into true ketosis. Okay, so what these exogenous ketones, you guys have seen the keto powder, the keto creams, all that stuff. Well, what these companies claim they do is they claim that they can push you into ketosis in 30 minutes. You take the supplement, your body's in ketosis. And what is ketosis? It's when you burn fat as your source of energy, right? That's more or less what it is. It's instead of being a carbohydrate burner, you're a fat burner, and that's the whole concept of why it works. But anyways, I guess more specifically to what you're saying, because of what I talked about. So if you're trying to be higher in fat and you can't afford the nitrate-free bacon, and you can't afford the grass-fed beef because it is much more expensive. How do you supplement for it? And I don't really know. I mean, there's different oils. There's MCT oils, which I take MCT oils. Grass-fed butter is a great way to get high fats, and then obviously nuts, different kind of peanuts and things are a great way to get. But I mean, it's pricey. I think that nutrition is obviously it's all. We're literally like destined to be fat and unhealthy. You think about if you want to try to find something healthy in the United States, it costs you $7 for a pound of beef, or you can go to McDonald's and you can get a Big Mac for $1.50. You know, I mean, what are most people gonna do? It's just common sense. So it's like, really, as a government, what are we really doing? You know, you really want to help turn this country's health around and give people a shot in the dark. You know, I mean, if you're living in poverty, how do you have a chance at being healthy? Honestly, if I'm living in poverty, I'm getting Cheez-Its that my kids can eat for a week. I'm going to McDonald's and making instead of buying 1 pound of beef for $10, I'm going to buy 10 double cheeses. Like, that's right. I mean, so what rate of success do we really give our country when it comes to being healthy? You know, like we're honestly set up for failure. And from a financial standpoint, if you don't have money, you can't eat clean. It's just it's sad. It's sad. It's unfortunate. But that's what I mean. What I've talked about, and maybe someone listening will do this, or one of you guys. But you want to become the next billionaire. Find a way to eat healthy for very cheap, and do it fast. Open up a fast food restaurant that tastes good, that's healthy, and it's all clean food, and find a way to do it and cut the costs. You tell me that if you could make a McDonald's that tasted like that and that was healthy for you, billionaire, you're the richest man in the world. And that's you know, I believe it'll happen someday. I don't know when or where, but I think it'll happen someday. Someone will find a way to make fresh food fast that's actually healthy for you and affordable. But I don't know. There's not really an answer to that, Coach Harris. It costs more. I mean, it just does, you know.
It is sad too that the companies that are putting out the studies are the ones that are producing the most unhealthy foods.
Yeah, like who's sponsored? You look who sponsors all these studies. Like for the Dairy Association, like, you know, yeah, it's like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and KFC, and these are the people that are sponsoring the studies that our government is taking into consideration. And man, it's just crazy. You even look at just how like lactose. So lactose is it's obviously in milk, right? It's now about 75% of Americans can't digest lactose. Like, we can't, and that wasn't the case 25, 50 years ago. We're at the point now where our bodies just can't take anything because of what we fuel ourselves with. But yeah, it's tough to succeed, honestly, with nutrition. It's a very complicated and complex issue. And you talk to 10 different nutritionists, you get 10 different answers. You know, like it's absolutely crazy. And usually it's the same thing. It's so black and white, and like nutrition is nothing close to being black and white. But that's how everyone treats it. Like it's either you're a keto guy. Hey, I'm a keto guy. Keto's the only thing that works. Or you're a paleo guy. Or you're a vegan guy. Or you're gotta have carbs. Gotta have a ton of carbs. High carbs. It's just everyone, or I guess nobody really wants to be somewhere in the middle of understanding that. And that's what I've really grown to believe is it's about being well balanced. You know, like, yep, vegetables are great, not in excess. You know, water is great, hydration is great. You can overhydrate and die from it. So I think everything in balance is where your answer is. But those are really the three main things. Like I said, kind of understanding what to eat, trying to avoid refined sugars as much as humanly possible, and I think BCAAs are a freaking epic tool for just trying to change your body whichever way you're trying to. What else? Any specific diets or questions on how specific diets work or what they are?
I just had like two random things just to piggyback off what we were just talking about. You know, I had taken some teacher education courses last year, and we're having to learn about what you're telling kids in elementary school about their nutrition, their diet, and things like that. And you look at it, and the food guide pyramid is the same exact one that I had when I was in 4th grade, but it's like we're fatter, we're more unhealthy, but we're telling kids they still need to be eating the same exact way when I was their age. That can't be the case considering, look how unhealthy, America's getting. I just thought that was kind of one crazy thing I noticed that, our government is still pushing, you need to eat this way, and these are the kind of things you need to eat when, we're just getting unhealthier. That's just one random thing. And then I think this might be something good for the viewers who are watching, and this is something that we know about just with our guys who are nutritionally compliant and how how much that plays into them staying healthy and being able to play a full season of football and day in and day out and be on the practice field. Just, maybe shed a little light on like how being nutritionally, I guess, compliant, plays into an athlete, being able to stay healthy.
Yeah. No, I mean, the crazy thing about the first thing you said, and I don't remember the stat exactly, but one of the books that I recommend that everybody reads is Primal Fat Burner. Awesome book. She refers to a lot of great studies in there. It's definitely biased towards paleo diet, but it's freaking awesome, and just a lot of things she talks about, and people who demonize fat and everything. But more or less, one of the main sections of the book, she's talking about how, since 1970, there's like 79% of America, when they survey who's abiding by the principles that the government says, the pyramid, like if you're living by that, there's been like 79% of America that has lived in those means. So a certain amount of servings of this and this and this, and follow the food pyramid. So the majority of our country is following what our government is telling us to eat, yet obesity is at an all-time high, disease is at an all-time high, cancer is at an all-time, like those things are, those diseases, heart failure, obesity, those things are at an all-time high, but we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? It'd be like me writing a strength conditioning program for our team, and 79% of them are doing everything to a T, and they're actually getting weaker, slower, and smaller. Like, wouldn't we sit there and say, maybe we're doing something wrong, maybe we as coaches aren't doing something right, but and that's where we talk about like it's so much more political than it is anything at this point in time. But yeah, so the nutritionally compliant stuff, obviously, for the people that are watching, it's all of our supplements that we offer our kids: our tart cherry juice, our brain armor, the glucosamine, the B12, our multivitamin, our green grass superfood. So it's what we give our kids to make sure they have a really, hopefully, a bulletproof diet for the most thing that we can control. And the correlation between the guys that take the supplements versus guys that don't. The guys that take the supplements are the guys that stay healthy throughout the season, that don't get banged up, little knick-knack injuries. The guys that don't take their supplements are the guys that you see pulling, or I guess not necessarily pulling muscles, but cramping, right? Cramping on Saturdays, not being able to finish games, fatiguing, complaining of lack of sleep, complaining of lack of focus, complaining of lack of energy. But when's the last time you guys heard Kyron Brown come up to you and talk to you about any of that stuff, right? And so your guys that do what they're supposed to do, take the supplements they're supposed to take, they're living at a different level than the people that aren't. So I think that's a very, very good point as well, definitely. What else we got?
Well, with like the government stuff, I know like back in the 70s, we're trying to ban like commercials that were pointed towards children. Well, when you're a parent and you're going grocery shopping with your kid, and you're like, I want this. Well, after they see it on TV, well, most of this stuff is packed with refined sugars, like Trix and all those cereals. And then these big companies started getting together, and then that's when they started pushing governments into changing these laws. And that's kind of what swayed, but also we moved from hard labor jobs to office jobs. So you're sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, and you're really not doing the manual labor that they used to do. So that's also a giant shift in the way we've changed as a culture too.
No, there's definitely been a massive shift. I mean, like I said, I think it's all gotta change. I mean, the whole thing is the politics got to be pulled out of it. People have to become more open-minded. I think we have to start evaluating health differently. You know what I mean? Not just necessarily looking at inward and outward appearance, but looking at what the blood work is telling us. And I mean, even their depression. We're the first people that want to just throw. I mean, it's the most misdiagnosed disease in the country is depression. If someone comes in and says I'm sad, we'll throw freaking antidepressants at them. And people are starting to treat these diseases like depression with nutrition. They're starting to run their blood work, and they can see neurotransmitters that are deficient. They can see adrenal glands that are deficient or overactive or whatever it may be, and they're treating them with nutrition and dieting, and guess what's happening? Those diseases are disappearing. And that's the thing with drugs is we just want to keep on just feeding ourselves drugs and drugs and drugs. Well, every single one of the drugs you take interacts with neurotransmitters in your brain, and it dulls your. I mean, it's not good stuff. It is what it's doing to you. I mean, I'm like, for me to take something medicine-wise, like I gotta be messed up. Like if I can't freaking like open my eyes, I'll take like a freaking Advil or something. But if not, like I'm not at all costs. I'm not putting that shit in my body. But it's like I said, it's the first thing that our doctors want to do, and then hey, we'll give you this medicine that will get rid of your headache, but it might give you high blood pressure. Oh, we'll give you high blood pressure. We'll give you this other medicine to take on top of it. It'll decrease your blood pressure, but it might make you dizzy. Oh, it made you dizzy, so we'll give you this medicine so that you don't become dizzy. Oh, that made you nauseous. We'll give you. So I mean, it's like we just want to keep treating with more and more and more drugs. And we're not helping anybody, we're making a bigger dividend where it comes down to what you asked, folks. Like, it ain't about supplements, it ain't about prescription drugs. It's about, can we start to really clean up diets? Can we get back to where we don't have all these preservatives and pesticides on every one of our freaking vegetables? Can we get back to rotating crops? Can we get back to where we're letting animals graze instead of just force feeding them grain and having freaking these chicken farms that chickens don't ever see the day of light, and we're eating legitimate food? Like, can we get back to that day and age? And I bet you'll start to see a lot of decrease in disease and cancer and heart failure and all these things that we're seeing, obesity, and it's just. I honestly don't even know where to start with it now. I mean, like I said, for us, it starts with us. It starts with us buying into it, believing in it, and starting to change the way that we eat, and then trying to affect the people around us. But I mean, like, you just think about something simple as this. Like, how many people grew up thinking Gatorade was super healthy, like a healthy beverage, right? Like, hey, dude, I'm not gonna drink that soda pop. I'm gonna drink Gatorade instead. And then we're just sitting here being complete fat asses, having no idea that the sugar content is the exact freaking same as that in a Coca-Cola. And like, our bodies are responding the same way to Gatorade. We're getting the same insulin spike from Gatorade as we are getting from Coca-Cola. But the government perceives it as a healthy beverage. Fruit juices, healthy beverage. Like, if you would have told me 10 years ago that fruit juice wasn't good for you, I'd have been like, shut up. Like, what are you talking about? And now look at the sugar content in fruit juices. It's freaking insane. It's freaking insane what it is. It's just we don't need it. Our bodies don't. They don't require it.
Story was my grandmother has had like 2 triple bypass surgeries. She just had, I want to say, in this year alone during the season, she's had about 3 heart attacks or something like that. My father's been down there taking care of her, and my dad loves to juice. And he loves to just loves to juice. He juices everything. And so my dad was like, "Are we going to start juicing for you?" Because she couldn't eat anything. She couldn't drink. Really couldn't. It was hard for her to drink anything. So she wasn't getting any calories. She was sleeping all day. Hard for her to move. And probably taking close to 20 pills a day. Well, they started juicing, and just recently, she's up. She's walking again. She's doing everything that she was able to do. She was also a crap ton of weight. My dad has her, working out and stuff like that. And I guess my mom told me she went down there a couple weeks ago, and I think there was a day, or I think it was a 2 or 3 day span, where my grandmother forgot to take her pills. And just because she's been juicing and getting the nutrients from all the stuff my dad's been giving her from like the fruits and the vegetables, even though it's not the best, but just what she's been getting on a day-to-day basis just from the juicing has helped her out tremendously.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bunch of concentrated bullshit. It's legitimate. And then, like I said, there's like a problem too. Like, some people would say juicing is terrible for you. It's too much sugar. It's too much this and that. And then There's other people who say, well, no, there's the fiber level is high enough in all of it so that you have time to digest it and it's not going to have a massive insulin spike, blood sugar spike. And then there's a shit ton of stories, a whole freaking documentary on Netflix about just a whole bunch of juicers who had insane results from juicing. So it's like, it's where you have to, like I said, you have to read between the lines and understand the very first thing we talked about today is that you tell me a diet and I'll tell you that it works. It's worked for somebody. There's a reason it's a diet, right? There's a reason why people talk about freaking cayenne, freaking pepper flake, freaking lemonade, and like just crazy shit like that. I mean, it's worked. It's worked for somebody, you know. And so it's something to understand. Like we like hook onto these diets and like you know it works for you. So then everybody else has got to be on what you're on because what you do is obviously the right way and what everybody else does is the wrong way. And it's like just try different things. Be open to different things. If you guys so going back to what I've tried with diets, you know, like. My whole life, I've always been very well balanced. As far as I was, you know, I'm always gonna have a brown rice, a sweet potato. Like I was always like you know, the complex carbs are healthier for you than the simple carbs. So I would be like a brown rice guy. I'd be a baked potato or a sweet potato type guy. And then I'd have my lean meat, right? My because you don't want to have too much red meat. So I was always like a lean meat guy. So I might splurge and have beef like once a week. But other than that, I was turkey and fish and chicken and lean meats. And then I'd have vegetable, broccoli. You know, that was what I believed in. Okay, I've always had digestive issues. I've always had since I was a kid. I've had stomach issues. I haven't eaten a donut in like 25 years because anything like which is a ton of sugar in it. It's freaking. I mean, I'm hurting. I'm out. So I've always had digestive issues. I just always have. And then the first time in my life that I didn't, and the first time that I would call myself like regular, what was when I started more of a high-fat diet. And as soon as I started the high-fat diet, you know, I was solid. My stomach felt great. One of my favorite things about it was, you know, hunger has always controlled my life. Like always. I've always been a guy. 2 hours. Every 2 hours, if I don't have something, I start getting cranky. I start like losing focus. I start getting a little, you know, like kind of dazing off. And when I got on a higher fat diet, that changed for me immediately. So for me, that's great, right? It's great. I put one of my buddies on the diet that I tried. Just said, you know, it worked for me. Try to see what happens. He lost 27 pounds in a month. Felt great. Felt the same thing I felt. Okay, great. Then I put somebody else on the diet. Okay. He's shitting his pants every 5 minutes. He tries it for 3 or 4 days. He feels terrible. He's hungry. So does a diet work for everybody? No, it doesn't mean that the diet's garbage. It doesn't mean that the diet's the end all be all. The results for me from having a well balanced diet and the keto were the same. Like I said, I had a lot of success cutting up, losing weight, but I felt better with the high fat diet. For me, not having to rely on eating every 2 hours was a pretty big deal. Like that was something that was life changing for me. Being able to just like be a normal human being for 6 hours and not be like, oh, I gotta eat something. I need a protein shake. Was a big deal for me. Getting rid of those digestive issues was a big deal for me. So yeah, like that's something that I lean towards now, and I eat more primal in nature. I don't have more than probably 100 grams of carbs a day. And that's what works for me, but it doesn't mean that works for everybody. I think just finding a way to be open-minded with that stuff, finding a way to understand that it's not the end-all be-all, and it's not going to work for everybody. At the end of the day, genetics override everything, and TJ has different intolerances than I have, and you have a different metabolism than Fuchs has, and Green is gonna respond differently to certain things that Harris does, and that's just understanding those things is the first piece to really understanding this crazy thing we call nutrition. And then just the next thing is don't be afraid of it, man. Like because you don't understand it, don't be afraid of it. It's something that us as strength coaches, I think a lot of strength coaches are nervous to learn more about it because it's such an unknown. But you better educate yourself. You better be up to date with the latest studies and how they were conducted and reading between the lines. And I just think it's a whole other piece of the puzzle where who are our athletes asking all that stuff all the time? It's us. They're coming to us and asking about that stuff. So you better have some good general answers for them. And obviously we have the staff nutritionists too, which we send them to, which is great too, but they just trust us more, you know, so they're gonna come to us. So setting a good example for them, I think, is a very important piece. Anything else?
Yeah, I think something I've learned here and something I kind of don't read about it. You know, like that's one thing I've learned. We tried the metabolic diet, but we all everyone on the staff that wanted to do it, we sat there and read the section from the book. We figured out why it works, why he designed it the way he did. I know I was 175 pounds and wanted to gain weight, so I wanted to try Fisher macros. I read the book on it before I did it, figured it out, and then I ended up doing it. It was successful. But yeah, I think don't just see something on Instagram about someone doing a paleo diet. Go read some stuff, read some articles, you know, buy a book about it.
Yeah, so books. While we're on that, let's do that. Okay, so one of our players just rented out Primal Fat Burner, but that is an awesome book. It's more of a paleo style book, but still really good. Okay, if you guys haven't read it yet, Serious Strength Training by Tudor Bumpa. Okay, obviously it's not all about nutrition, but there's this is the metabolic diet, which I just think the concept and what it made me kind of think and continue to push different thoughts, really good. So there's a section in here before you guys leave. You two go, just make a photocopy it. It's like one chapter, but it's powerful. So I think that's a really good piece. It's a good book in general to read the whole thing, but the parts in the metabolic diet in there are very interesting. Low Carbohydrate Performance, I think, is a very good book. It's a good build up off of just another way to do it. Like, you know, I would have never recommended a low carb diet for an athlete, even when I was doing it to myself a year ago. But then you read this and you realize that once again, people have success with it. There are athletes out there, both aerobic and anaerobic athletes, that have success with low carb diets. So just to kind of learn that, I think is very beneficial. Trying to think what else. What else we have for nutrition? I said Primal Fat Burner already. What other books do I have? Harris, it's just a piggyback version, but The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living. Very good. And then those are probably my favorites. Those that just give you a good idea of a baseline. Oh, and Good Calories, Bad Calories. Very good. Good Calories, Bad Calories is definitely one you want to pick up and read. The Paleo Solution by Rob Wolf. I don't know if anybody reads much on Rob Wolf, but he's very good. Really like him.
Is that the guy who like brought it to the forefront?
Yeah. Yeah, he's big in the CrossFit world, and like I said, if those athletes can operate with it, I don't know who couldn't.
What kind of diet is Teague on?
I don't know. If I knew, I'd probably paleo. I would assume. He's always been jacked. He's got genetics.
Any good podcasts that you've heard that have good, you know, nutrition or?
I mean, I've heard a lot of good podcasts on nutrition. I just don't try to think specifically like a nutrition podcast that I listen to. I mean, Mark Bell has a lot of really good people on his that they talk. There's a lot of different good nutrition talks on his. Dr. Tom Bellella is awesome to listen to. He's on DeFranco's podcast all the time, but if you like read his stuff and watch him on YouTube and stuff, Tom Bellella, he is really, really good nutritionally because he's really good on describing the inners of nutrition, how it all affects you in the body, how different diets affect you nutritionally, or how different nutritionally diets affect your blood work, your neurotransmitter levels, your adrenal glands, just how it kind of affects the whole body from head to toe. So he's really good. I really like Tom Bellella. Who's it that writes this? This dude he's on the board for UCAN. What the hell is his name? Oh yeah, Jeff Volek. he's good. He's out of Columbus actually. I wanted to go see him at one point in time. But yeah, he's really good as well. But yeah, I mean, does that kind of give everyone a decent idea on, at least point you in a general direction on where to go with nutrition and kind of why we do some of the things that we do, or where I am with some things? Good?
Good.
All right. Thank you. I think this is probably the last episode you guys are on, so say adios, boys. If
See y'all.
all our curriculum followers, Coach Fuchs is headed to Virginia. He's going to intern there starting in January. Been here for 7 months, and his counterpart there, David Jackson, he's heading to Maryland. They've both done an epic job, so anybody looking to hire any young, hungry GA coaches, these two are ready for you guys. But hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys got something out of it. I know it's kind of all over the place, and that's kind of how I wanted it to be, was not super detailed on any one aspect, but just kind of a whole grasping. And we got a whole lot more episodes to shoot, so I'm sure we will revisit nutrition, obviously, and probably dive into much more specifics, because this was very general, extremely general, but I think necessary.
Especially coming into the off season.
Right. So just hopefully it stirred up some thoughts in watchers and in you guys, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.